Welcome to the GREENPOINT Williamsburg News Magazine. Neighborhoods Today. On this edition, join us for a Neighborhoods Today Christmas. Season's greetings and happy holidays. I'm Dick Mahan. In this season of giving, we are delighted to share with you some of the many holiday traditions. Let's start to unwrap our holiday special with Shirley Fitzpatrick, soprano, who has just completed a successful recital at the Donna Library Center in New York City, and is with us to sing a traditional Christmas favorite. With the holidays upon us, it's easy to get swept away with the commercialism of the season. There's shopping, parties to attend, and Christmas trees to trim. But that's just the commercial side of the season. Here's REENA with the other side. REENA?
You know, amid all the hustle and bustle of the holiday season, some of us really do lose sight of the spiritual symbolism. But you know, in the Catholic religion, the 4 weeks prior to Christmas is called Advent, which is the spiritual preparation for Christmas Day. Well, my guest today is the principal of St. Stanislaus Kostka Grammar School, Sister Marita, and she's here to give us some perspective on Advent. Sister Marita, welcome to Neighborhoods Today.
Thank you, REENA. It's nice to be here.
It's great to see you. We're here to talk about Advent, and I guess my first question is, we don't really seem to hear that much about Advent anymore. Is it because it's not as commercial a season as Christmas?
I think that's true, and also because the church itself, back from the early times of the church, never even celebrated Advent in the beginning of the church, so it's relatively new in the Catholic Church religion, and as a result hasn't that much play like Lent would have prior to Easter, where everybody throughout the Christian world knows about Lent. Advent has taken a backward glance toward Lent.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mentioned in the intro that Advent is really a spiritual preparation leading up to Christmas. Can you just elaborate for me a little bit? Spiritual in what kind of way? Let's talk about some of the symbolism.
Okay, well, Advent really is supposed to be a season of preparation. Okay, it's a preparing for the coming of the birth of Christ, and it's also, and I think a lot of times we don't even look at it this way, it's also a preparing for the re-arrival of Christ as he will at the end of the world. So we're really looking at two reasons for celebrating the season of Advent. And when you await somebody, you prepare for their coming, and what better way to prepare rather than in a spirit of joy in the spirit of peace. So Advent has become a time of preparing through Thanksgiving for the gifts we have received and a season of sharing those gifts with others.
Now, I know Advent is 4 weeks. It's the 4 weeks prior to Christmas. Well, I mean, why 4 weeks? Why not 3? Why not 2?
You know, surprisingly, in the very early church, it was 6 weeks, just like it was in Lent. And for whatever reason, okay, Pope Gregory the Great decided to cut it down to 4 weeks. Maybe he felt that it should not have the same priority as the season of Lent does. When you look back in history, there isn't an exact reason for it, but it seems to be the belief that as Christians we waited for the arrival of Jesus for 4,000 years. So we celebrate 4 weeks of Advent.
4,000 years, 4 weeks.
That's right. Every week represents 1,000 years of waiting.
Let's talk a little bit about what goes on within that 4-week period. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, the church can celebrate Advent in so many different ways, okay? We have the most familiar Advent wreath. We have the Jesse tree. We have the liturgy, and really the Advent season centers around the liturgy. And when we talk about the liturgy, of course, we're talking about the Mass. And we're looking at the special Advent Gospels. We're looking at the special Advent prayers. Even the music and the art of Advent is centered around the coming, the preparation for the coming of Christ. There are so many different ways to celebrate Advent.
See, I do know that there is a different gospel, supposedly, that is read for each week. And I also know that there's something about St. John the Baptist. What is that?
Okay. St. John the Baptist, you know, he was the cousin of Jesus, okay? But he announced the arrival of Jesus prior to the Lord's actual coming as a man. Okay, so when we look at St. John, we always remember his words, "Prepare ye the way of the Lord." And the reason I say that is because the 4 weeks of Advent and all 4 Gospels during the Advent season carry the message, "Prepare ye the way of the Lord." And the first 2 weeks of Advent carry that message with, "Prepare ye the way of the Lord" through conversion. Okay,
as in baptism?
That's right. We're going to not so much repent as you would if you were going to the penitential season of Lent, but more of a conversion. Turn away from your sin and be happy. Be joyful in what you have. Then we look at the third gospel. Again, we're thinking, "Prepare ye the way of the Lord," but we're doing it in joy because he's right around the corner. He's coming within a week. And then the last gospel we look at, "Prepare ye the way of the Lord" again, and we read about his birth through Mary. So St. John's message, "Prepare ye the way of the Lord," is constant in all 4 weeks of Lent, Advent.
Now, I know some of the symbolism. There is the Jesse tree and the Advent wreath. Why don't you explain a little bit about the Jesse tree? To my knowledge, it had something to do with the genealogy and technically the relatives of Christ. What's that about?
Okay. That's fairly new. In 1949, an American sister decided to look up the genealogy of Jesus. We always knew it, but you know, really to trace it back. And as a result, she came out with the Jesse tree. Jesse is the father of Daniel, and Daniel we always remember as Daniel and Goliath. He slew the giant. Okay,
that was a big one.
That's right. Now Jesse is actually the father of Daniel. That's why it was called the Jesse tree, after Jesse, who, if you wanted technically to say, is the great-great-great-great-great-grandfather of Jesus. And the Jesse tree is actually a study in the ancestors of Jesus and the important events of his life.
It's the Jesse tree sounds like it would be a really great way for you to get the kids at St. Stan's involved in terms of, would they make some kind of ornaments for the tree? Is that the premise for it?
That's right. In fact, at this year we are doing just that. We're reminding the children about, if you want to use the word, grandfather and great-grandfathers of Jesus. And every day we take one of the symbols from the Jesse tree and we read a little story about its meaning, so the children can relate that particular prophet, because that's what they really are. They're prophets in the Old Testament. So the children can relate the prophet of the Old Testament to his place in history, which is in the ancestor line of Jesus. And they can relate what that prophet did to prepare the way for the coming of the Lord.
Oh, what a great way to learn. The last piece of symbolism, which is something that I'm familiar with, is called the Advent wreath, and we have one right here. The Advent wreath has 4 candles on it, and I see 3 are purple and 1 is pink. Can we talk a little bit more about the Advent wreath, the symbolism? Why a wreath? Why 4 candles? Why 3 purple and 1 pink?
This is probably the most familiar Advent symbol in the Catholic Church. Again, the purple goes back to the idea of repentance from the early church. Now with Vatican II, we're looking at blue candles in some churches, so don't be surprised if you go into a church at Christmas and we have 3 blue and 1 pink.
Is that because the church is maybe trying to get away a little bit more from the whole concept of repentance?
Exactly. We want to look at a conversion, a happy meaning to the season. We look at the, well, if you want to look at the candles, we're looking at 4 candles, 1 to represent each week.
Right.
Okay, and I call your attention to the pink one because I said before the 3rd Sunday is the idea of joy. The Lord is coming. He's right around the corner there. That's why we're looking at the pink candle, because it represented joy in the early church. The green we see surrounding the candles on the bottom represents life and hope, as green always does. It always represents life. And we're looking at that as the life. Jesus is the life. The last part we're looking underneath, it's the circle, okay? And the circle is, again, Jesus. When you look at a circle, there's no beginning and no end. And Jesus had no beginning. He's no end, and he will be constant forever.
Constant, that's the key.
And lastly, look at the meaning of the candles too, not only their color, but the fact that they're light, and Jesus is the light of the world.
That's great. Well, you know, unfortunately, we're out of time already. I'm going to have to say goodbye, but before we do, I would be honored if you would light the candles on the Advent wreath. And while you're lighting the candles, I'd just like to say to all of you out there, I hope each and every one of you have an incredible Christmas, a very healthy and happy New Year. Hope to see each and every one of you next year. Happy holidays, everybody.
Christmas is also the time many of us find ourselves preparing special treats for the holidays. Here is Chef Ralph LUPOLI of Fanciful Feastings teaching us how to make delicious chocolate truffles.
Welcome to Fanciful Feasting in studio. How are you? I hope your preparations for Christmas are going along smashing and you're really getting ready to enjoy the holiday. I want to talk about a very festive candy that can be given as a gift, that can be used to end any meal that you're having. They're called truffles, and these are milk chocolate orange truffles, and they're very easy to make, and they take a lot of time because they have to be frozen and then worked on when they're cold, so you have to work quickly. And just to give you a little background, these are resembling the truffles, which are the fungus that are sniffed out by special pigs in Périgord in France, and sell for about $90 a pound, $90 an ounce, excuse me, in specialty stores. But these are much cheaper, and you're going to enjoy them, and they're probably better because those are old and musty, and they're used in very special dishes. What we need to do this, I'm going to talk you through it. What we need is 12 ounces of milk chocolate, which you must chop very fine, a half a cup of heavy cream, a quarter of a stick of sweet butter, and a rounded tablespoon of orange peel. What you do is boil the heavy cream and put the milk chocolate into that and stir it over low flame until it gets all melted. Put in the butter and put in the put in the orange, and then pour it into a flat platter like this and put it in the freezer until it gets you know, solid like this, you see. Then what you do is you take an aluminum foil pan, you'll have to forgive me here, an aluminum foil pan, and you start forming them. You take a tablespoon and you start forming them into balls, and you do that, and you do that, And then when you're finished with this, these go into the freezer until they are solid. And once they're solid, you take them out. Let's move some of this stuff away from here. Once they're solid, you take them out, and we're going to remove this from here as well, just for a moment. You take them out and you lay down some cocoa, just get out of the box, and you roll them in cocoa like so. It's a messy job because kids love it. And you roll them around and around and around. See? This is one we just did. Let's see if it works. There we go. And that's how you make truffles. It couldn't be easier. It's absolutely wonderful. They make fabulous gifts. And they're just absolutely delicious to end a holiday meal. And they're so easy to do. If you want the recipe, the exact recipe and all the details on making them, please write to Neighborhoods Today, and we'll be delighted, the address that we will give you, and I will be delighted to send you our newsletter with the exact recipe and all of the technique. Do have a wonderful, wonderful holiday, and I wish everyone just God bless and peace. Thank you.
And now to sing Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, here's Angel Cappellino.
Honored to have Dr. Nadrowski with us tonight. Doctor, I have to ask you a question. I think I have a bad case of truffleitis. Our chef, Ralph LUPOLI, has made truffles for us, and I'm not superstitious, but I've eaten 13 of these things, and they're just delicious. Would you like to try one? They're wonderful.
I'd love to. They look so delicious.
Right.
But first of all, Dick, I don't know what truffleitis is. Now, however, if you don't feel well in the morning, give me a call.
I will.
I could see
They're
why
great.
you ate 13.
Yeah.
They're, as I say, they're attractive looking.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have one at least and give it a try. And I like to just mention that Ralph Lupoli is such a fantastic chef. And I'm sure Craig Claiborne could make truffles like this.
I'm sure.
And he's the famous gourmet and the writer for the New York Times.
Yes, indeed.
So we are proud of him in Greenpoint here in Williamsburg.
Well,
Okay, let's have one.
This is
Okay.
This is it. You know, the holiday season is upon us, Doctor, and there'll be a lot of parties and there'll be a lot of drinking and so on. Give us some insight into alcohol and what we should be looking for when we're celebrating this year.
It's interesting, Dick, that 50,000 people perish or thereabouts in auto accidents in 1 year. That's equivalent to what happened in Vietnam. 50,000 boys died there. So we're losing 50,000 just in auto accidents, and the majority is because of alcohol-linked vehicle accidents.
Yes.
Here's the holiday. Everybody's gonna have some drink or two or whatever.
Right.
And if there's any possibility that that person is now drinking too much or drinking just more than the usual, and there's some question in anybody's mind who is a friend of this person, don't let that person drive.
Absolutely.
Help that person by driving for that person, take the keys away from that person, or get a cab. No matter how much resistance there may be, you may save a life by doing that. The person's life, your friend's life, and also another life perhaps, or maybe more.
Right. Very, very important.
Yes.
Fine. Doctor, that's very good advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Well,
Good.
good.
I'd like to wish everybody a healthy and happy holiday. Okay, nice to be here.
Right, Doctor. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're so happy here at Neighborhoods Today. Santa has come all the way in from the North Pole to go ahead and pay us a visit. Welcome to Neighborhoods Today, Santa
Thank
Claus.
you so much. I'm delighted to be here in Greenpoint, Williamsburg.
Greenpoint in Williamsburg. You've delivered here for many, many years.
Long time.
Let me ask you, how have things changed over the years as far
A
as...
lot of traffic. There's a lot of traffic, so get your orders in early because a lot of traffic and it's getting more and more difficult.
Are you still delivering in the traditional way?
Well, I now have a Mercedes instead of a sleigh, you know, and the reindeers are now a little bit more mechanized, but otherwise it's still the same way.
Excellent. Now, I remember that Santa would always come down the chimney. Are you still...
No, not when there were elevators. No, not when there were elevators. Because Santa has, you know, I have the ability to disappear so no one sees me. So I can go up and down elevators very quickly. And, you know, it's the chimneys are getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Santa, I gotta appreciate that. That's
Yeah.
I know that yes,
yeah.
Santa, that's
Yeah,
quite true.
yeah.
Okay, you understand the situation.
Yeah.
The holiday season.
Well,
It's a holiday season. I know the thing that I always loved years ago, we used to have our stockings were hung by the chimney with care. Are we still doing that?
In some places, but now there are sneakers and there are kids and all of that. Just be careful. Word of advice, please. If you have a fireplace and you're hanging up sneakers, make sure you have odor eaters in them. Please.
Good point. Good
Please,
point.
yeah.
Now, years ago, if you were a bad boy or girl, okay, you would go ahead and get a lump of coal in your stocking or sneaker, as the case is now. Are we still doing that?
We're still doing that, only now we're faxing it. We don't bother with them anymore. We just fax them some coal and say, have fun.
Oh, boy.
Right.
Oh, boy.
Right.
Things have really become
Things
very
are picking up.
I can remember putting out a glass of milk and maybe some cookies for Santa Claus years ago. Do you still look forward to that?
I really appreciate all you boys and girls doing that, but please, let's have low-calorie milk. Santa is now also can't have the lactate. He needs the lactate stuff. Low-calorie milk, low-cholesterol cookies. Thank you. I mean, it's getting to be too much, you know, so cool it a little bit on that.
Okay, that's good advice. Santa, I know that you just can't do this all by yourself, that you've got your helpers, and you have the same team with you? Are they still...
Same team year after year after year. Mrs. Claus is taking care of them now, but the unions are killing us. The unions are killing us, and it's going to be a problem in years to come, but we get there, we do the best we can.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Santa, I know that you brought a bag in here, and I know that you have a couple of gifts for some of the
I'm not telling you what we brought for you, no.
Okay, but just give us a little hint. Can you tell us a little bit? Nobody's really paying...
Okay. Anybody listening?
Nobody's listening.
Just you and me here?
Just you and I.
Okay.
Now, of course, we've got...
Who do you want to know?
REENA, what are you getting for REENA?
Well, REENA, you know, does all the political stories, so I'm giving her a hat so she can throw it into the ring.
Okay, so she's a political gal.
Right,
okay.
right.
And then we have Dr. Nadrowski.
Well, we happen to know that Dr. Nadrowski sings opera. So I thought he would like to, since Luciano has been a bad boy, we're going to put him in his place.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we have that. Now, then we have our famous chef, Ralph LUPOLI. What can we get for Ralph?
Well, I suggest you give him some new glasses so he can see what he's doing, you know, right? And tell him to stop preparing so many desserts.
Okay. And then we have Angel Cappellino.
Angel with a wonderful, glorious voice. We're going to give her a complete string section.
Excellent. Oh, well, you're really,
sure.
You're very generous. You're very generous. Now, there's another guy that we've forgotten, the producer.
Jim?
Jim, what should we give?
Jim, what should we give Jim? How about a new camera? Okay? Do you think he wants a new camera?
I think that would be great. That would be like a miracle on Frost Street. Don't you think?
Okay.
Very good.
All
Santa,
right.
do you have any wishes that you could have for all our viewers?
I want everybody to love one another. I want everybody to remember why we celebrate this wonderful day each year. And I want to wish everyone peace and happiness, and all of our boys who are feeding the hungry. We love you all, and Merry, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Santa. Thank you so much.
To you.
Merry Christmas, everyone at Neighborhoods Today. This brings us to the end of our special edition of A Neighborhoods Today Christmas. We would like to take this opportunity to wish all our guests a happy holiday. And on behalf of our Neighborhoods Today family, we wish you and your family health, happiness, and a very happy holiday.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas.